Using the PacePro feature on your Garmin watch could be the difference between PBing your next race or crashing and burning because you set off too quickly and ran out of energy halfway through. We have all done it. Now, the biggest problem with PacePro is that it's not the most intuitive thing to set up in the world, and it's kind of hidden away in the menus. So in this video, we're going to go through how to set up a new PacePro strategy completely from scratch, what the data screens look like so that you know what exactly your watch is trying to tell you on race day. And at the end, I've got a little bonus for you for how to get any route you want onto your watch to use for your PacePro strategy. But first, what actually is Garmin PacePro? Why do we use it? And why wouldn't you just set your average pace and make sure you come in under that? Put simply, PacePro is just a cleverer way of planning your pacing strategy. You load the course onto your watch, it knows exactly the route that you're running, it knows where all of the hills are, and you've got more flexibility to change bits of the strategy to speed up or slow down, depending on which part of the route you're going to find more challenging. It means that you can afford to take some of the tougher parts a little bit slower, make up time on some of the easier parts, and plan in times for recovery as well, so you don't just have to focus on sticking to one pace the entire time. So let's look at how to set things up. You're going to need your phone and the Garmin Connect app. So for this example, I'm going to pretend that I'm running London Marathon this year, even though I never get a place in the ballot, but let me pretend. So let's say I'm going to try and do the London Marathon this year and I want to get it done in under 4 hours. So we need to set a PacePro strategy up to get us to that sub 4 hour goal. You can see Garmin Connect here. All we're going to do is go to More on the bottom right hand corner, and then you're going to see an option for training and planning. And then somewhere in the middle, PacePro pacing strategies. So if we click on that, a couple of examples that I've already set up, but we're going to go for this big blue button at the bottom, create PacePro strategy. Now here you've got two options. You can either select a course, which is what we're going to be doing, and this is where it loads the full route onto your watch. It allows to navigate if your watch allows for it, and it knows all of the elevation, so it gives you the most detailed possible planning for your strategy. Or if you don't have a GPX file, like a navigation file for your watch, then you can just select a generic race distance. So you could just be running a half marathon distance, and you can still adjust your strategy accordingly. So for this one, we're going to go select a course. Now you're going to get all of the courses that you've saved previously are going to come up in this list. Now the first thing we need to do here is to somehow get the London Marathon route saved into our Garmin app so that we can use it as the basis for our PacePro strategy. You'll see a little search icon in the top right corner here. If we tap on that, this is going to give you essentially a map around you, and it's going to just give you every public route anyone has shared. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to search for London Marathon. So the issue with this approach is that it's only going to give you routes on the section of map you've got highlighted. So you need to be somewhere over the start line for that route to appear, even if you're searching for it. So you can see I've searched for London Marathon, but I'm going to need to zoom into right where the marathon's going to start, which I know is in Greenwich Park. And you can see the different starting points for the London Marathon. So there we go. If we click on this route, then we're going to get an option now for setting our time or pace. So if you know that we want to get in under 4 hours, I'm going to change this to, let's just go 3:59, give ourselves a little buffer. It tells you that, okay, your goal pace to get a 3:59 marathon is going to be 5 minutes, 38 kilometers. Great, so we go next. And what you can see now is that Garmin has taken the full route. It's given you all of the elevation and all the details. So you can see here this little elevation plot, and it's given me a series of splits for every kilometer for the marathon that I could do to get me in under 3 hours and 59 minutes. And you can see at the moment it's quite generic. If you look at this split time column, all of the splits, you can see 5:43, 5:41, 5:39. It gets a little bit quicker in some places, but pretty much every split is around that 5:40 kilometer. We have two levers that we can pull here. You see these two sliders, you've got pacing strategy and uphill effort. So what this basically means is pacing strategy is just how do you want to pace your race? Do you prefer negative splits where you start off a little bit slower and then you get faster throughout the race? Or do you prefer to positive split where you set off a little bit faster and then basically just hang on towards the end? So me personally, I like to negative split my race, but not massively. So we're going to leave the slider somewhere close to the middle, but still negative splits. So in this case, we're starting off around that 6 minute kilometer, probably good for how crowded the start lines get at the marathons. So starting off a little bit slower and steadily working our way through. So we're actually finishing around between 5:20 and 5:30 kilometers. And then you've got your second slider, which is your uphill effort, which basically means how much do you enjoy or not enjoy running up hills? If you absolutely detest running up hills, you're going to want to move this slider right down to the left to make your uphill efforts easier. Or if you're not that bothered, you're absolutely fine with hills, then you would just move that slider over and make it harder. And if we take a closer look quickly at how this actually impacts your splits, you'll see here there's a little spike around the 30 km mark. So there's like a short, sharp hill about 30k in. If we move this slider all the way to the easier section, come down to our splits, you can see kilometer 29 you've got 5:28, and then kilometer 30 you slow it down to a 5:44. Now if we move that slider and say actually let's make it harder, kilometers 29 and 30, kilometer 29 now you've got a 5:33, and kilometer 30 you've got a 5:35, basically saying no difference in how you're pacing the strategy. But if we go back and we make it easier again, 29 5:28, 30, 5:44. So you're slowing down by about 10 to 15 seconds per kilometer just for that hill, depending on how you've changed your slider on the PacePro strategy. And I absolutely hate running up long hills, so I'm going to leave this effort towards the easier side of things. Okay, and so once that's all done, we're just going to scroll down to the bottom and hit save. And now you can see that this strategy has appeared in my list of PacePro strategies. So we're going to click on that. And then you see this button at the top right of the screen is just a little watch with an arrow. We're going to send that to our watch. So my watch isn't connected because I took it off, but as soon as I put it back on again, it'll sync. So now let's take a look at what this strategy looks like on the actual watch itself. Okay, so we've got the watch here. We're just going to start a run as we normally would, and then go to run, and we're going to tap this middle left button here. So get our options. So you can see you got training, navigate, data screens, all the different stuff you need for your run. We're going to come back up to training. No, we're going to come back up to training. And then if we keep going down, you'll see a separate option for your PacePro plans. So we're going to tap on that, and then again you can see all my previous ones, but if we come to the bottom there, this is the London Marathon one that we've just been setting up on Garmin Connect. All you're going to do is click on this. Again, this is your route, and then tap top right again. Now there's a bunch of different options you can see on here. We are going to accept the plan, but just so that you can see the others, you can see all of the splits that it's set for me. So you can see we're starting off around that 6-minute kilometer, and then as we scroll down through every kilometer, getting quicker, a couple of slower ones for hills. There we go. Come back out of there. Again, if you want to see the elevation plot where all the hills are in the race, you can do. And then your map is literally just the route itself, so it'll stick it on the map for you. So if we come back up here, we're going to accept the plan, enable course navigation. All this does is just adds an extra data screen on with your map, so we'll say yes for that. There we go, so now you're ready to go. You'll get all of your normal data screens if you scroll down, so like this is my regular one, and everything else will be all the same. But if you come to the bottom here, you're going to end up with a couple of these screens. Now this is the main one that you're going to be looking at during your race, and so it looks a bit confusing at first. All we're looking at here is the top field is just going to be whatever your target split is for that kilometer. So remember, my first kilometer split was a 6-minute, and it's going to tell me my target here, 6 minutes. These dashes, if I was actually running, these will be giving me my current pace, and all you're trying to do is you're trying to match these two numbers up as best as possible. So I know that I'm trying to run a 6-minute kilometer, and so I need this number to try and read as close to 6 as possible. And then you've got your bar underneath here. This is going to tick down as you go, but all it's doing is telling you how long you've got left until your next split changes. So in this case, we've got 1 kilometer left, and then you're going to have an overall ahead or behind time at the bottom, just to give you an instant glance of how far ahead or behind your overall target you are. So if you were halfway through your run, let's say you've reached the half marathon point, but you'd fallen behind on some of the splits, it might say like overall behind 1 minute, i.e. you're scheduled to finish 1 minute slower than your target and you need to pick it up, and that will just keep updating through the race. And that is all of the different metrics that your watch will be telling you during the race once you've got the strategy on. You've got a couple of other screens, but to be honest, they're less useful. You've got one with estimated time, how long you've got left, and then you've got another one with the overall elevation plot of the run. But realistically, you're not going to use these too much. You're just going to leave it on this one. see how far ahead or behind you are, and whether your current pace is matching up with your current target. So that is how to set up and use the PacePro strategies, but there is one last little bonus trick I want to show you, and that's how to get way more routes onto your Garmin Connect app to use for the PacePro strategies using Strava. So the first thing that I do with any registered race event is go onto the organizer's website, because 99% of the time there is a Strava map of the course there that you can download and send straight to your watch. So for example, with London Marathon, if I were to open up Google and just go London Marathon course download, then we head onto the organizer's website. As I scroll down, they've got the 2025 one, that's close enough, and you'll see Strava embed on the website, and there's a little option here for send to device. Now all I'm going to do is click on that. That's then going to open up Strava on my website, on my phone. All I have to do here is tap the little bookmark icon, and that is now going to save the route in my Strava courses. So if I just come out of here and then I filter on my saved routes in the top right, you can see where I've got a bunch of different routes saved. So 16k Crawley Run route, Langley Walk, 23k loop. If we then go to Garmin Connect and go to more, training and planning, and then courses, you'll see all of the same routes. So the 16k, the Langley Walk, the 23k loop. And you can use any of these routes to create your PacePro strategies. So you can set whatever route you want. It doesn't have to be an organized race. And that's it. Now you know how to use Garmin PacePro to get your next PB. If this was helpful, then make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you in the next video.